What did you make of Ghosn's press conference, his performance? Was he convincing?
In many ways, I think it was a masterful performance. And he very convincingly made the case, first of all, that the initial charges brought against him were weak, flimsy. He also made a convincing case that this was part of a palace coup that was trying to scuttle his plans to merge Nissan and Renault. And he also, I think, was very convincing about the Japanese criminal justice system, that he and other criminal suspects here undergo procedures that are cruel and not in keeping with international standards.
We're clearly a long way from any resolution between the two sides on this. How potentially damaging is this to Japan Inc.?
I think it's very damaging. He said that there's been $10 billion wiped off the market cap of Nissan, which is true. I think that the use of criminal procedures to go after what was basically should have been an internal corporate matter is also very bad. And so overall, I think that the damage both to Nissan, to Renault, and Japan has been quite serious.
Stephen, we're just also getting some word, quite timely as well here, from the Chief Cabinet Secretary Yoshihide Suga. He's responding partially as well to what Carlos Ghosn was saying. I'm just going to take you through some of these lines here. So that the criminal justice system in Japan is being run fairly, is what he's saying, that these assertions from Carlos Ghosn are one-sided. Completely unpersuasive is the other statement that he's made as well. And obviously, these two sides are to be expected anyway, because one is telling one side of the story, the other side is telling the other side. What I want to understand from you is, because of this case, you know, the outside world looks at Japan, and what is visible to us is a justice system where virtually everyone who's convicted or gets convicted, about 100% conviction rate. What do I need to understand as a foreigner looking at that as well? What's the other side to that?
Well, there is a high conviction rate in many countries, and I wouldn't say the conviction rate itself is the problem. The problem is that Ghosn was initially arrested on what turned out to be very flimsy charges, and then that was used as a basis to detain him for many months in jail, during which time he was repeatedly interrogated, isolated, not allowed to see his lawyer, not allowed to see his wife. And those are the things that don't happen in countries outside of Japan, in North America, and in Europe.
So is it a problem then more of corporate Japan than it is the justice system?
No, I wouldn't say that, except to the extent that Ghosn, during his time at Nissan, for better or worse, ran it in a very autocratic way. One of the things he said last night was that consensus doesn't work. And he was making the claim that under his leadership, Nissan did well. Now that he's departed, there is a wishy-washy partnership of equals, consensus-based between Renault and Nissan, and that doesn't work. What I think he didn't see, and what he's still blind to, is the fact that the Renault-Nissan relationship changed over time. Nissan became successful in part because of what he did, but Renault became weaker, and Renault used its 43% share ownership of Nissan to skew the terms of the alliance so that Nissan was basically supporting and subsidizing Renault, which caused a great deal of resentment among the ranks in Nissan, on top of which Ghosn himself began to, I think, blur the lines between the company and company assets and his personal assets in ways that were not proper, not necessarily illegal, but not proper.